Hello, everybody. Bernie Floresca here with another group coaching session on resume. So thank you to David, Anaina, Yash, and then we have Rohit and Srinivas also looking into resumes as to what can be improved. But more importantly, they wanted other resources for other job search topics. And Valentina had specific questions about how to improve or have impact in your bullets on the resume. So let us start with this baseline. I'm going to share my screen, and you guys have probably heard of the index. I want to talk a bit about it a little bit more because this discussion doesn't finish just because we end this session in an hour or a few minutes after an hour. By the way, if you have to leave, it won't hurt my feelings. Feel free to drop off because as you notice, I'm recording this. So this will be put back in the LinkedIn group. If you have to go for classes or whatever, you don't even need to interrupt, just drop off, okay? And thank you for attending this session. The resource that I'm talking about that only speaks about resume that we have is in the Illinois Tech Career Services group. So once you're in the main group, like so, you want to type in Illinois Tech Services like this, and you want not the people entry. This is the people entry, but you want here on top, you want the groups entry. If you're not part of it, it's going to say join here where it says view posts. If you're part of it, you just click view posts. And here's the group that I want you to take a look at, all right? In the group, an important document here is what's called the index, and that's what I was talking about, that are resources for you even after we finish this conversation. And for a couple of you, Srinivas and Rohit, there's a specific section, and I will show it as soon as we get it. So all you have to do once you're in this group is just to scroll down, and we put a comment that refers you to the index when you come in here. So as you see on the screen, there's the index, but I'm just going to keep on scrolling until I see it again, just to let you guys know that it's all over the place on purpose. When you click on the index, you have an at a glance table of contents. But FYI, any of these topics that you talk about, we're here talking about resume, obviously, so you can click resume, Srinivas and Rohit. You were asking me more information about the topic called business relations. So actually, any of these links go to the same document, and we did that so that we can track which topics students are looking at so we can give you more resources if needed. So under index, once you have it like this, you can just do a Control F or a Command F. And then you do hashtag for the topic, and then the topic, resume. The document that you're seeing was not originally intended as an index. However, once we started sharing it with students, students were like, oh, wow, what a wealth of information. So it's actually resources at your fingertips that are available to you, very busy students, and it's available to you 24/7. So you can intersperse your work on job search amidst your studies. So that's why students love it, because it's available 24/7. And since you have video recordings, it's practically a 24/7 coach that's available to you. So the reason we put hashtag is so that you could get to the topic. And if you notice, you're under hashtag resume, and then you have a bunch of links. But for Rohit and Srinivas, if you type in hashtag business relations, like so, you're seeing on the screen that it's saying 6 of 7. You want to go to 1 of 7. And that's the topic that you're talking about. So Srinivas and Rohit, if you see the first bullet says intro to recording, so fine, we're not covering it at this session, but directly after we hang up from the Zoom call, you can go to either the first bullet or under the section here that says 106 applications, 12 internship offers, 12 internship offers. It says the power of business relationships, and that has a recording for you as well. So any questions about what I've covered so far? So now I'm going to go to hashtag resume. So we have a baseline for a discussion for resume. So under hashtag resume, for new folks, if you've been on VMOC already, you probably don't need it, but it says Illinois Tech Resume Guide, and it also says Illinois Tech Resources. Click those links and it has templates to what we have for job search, okay? Also, further than that, the 9th bullet says Resume Design Principles that I'm going to open up very shortly, but you have about 10 hours of recordings, again, about resume, okay? And then after the recordings, you also have case studies. You have the better version and you have the old version that the student comes with to career services. And then you see the transformation from, just like, say, David or Valentina or Anaina, where they're bringing in their current versions, and then you see the improvement. So let me go to the resume design principles, and anybody have any questions with anything I've covered so far? No questions? All right, so now I want to hear you guys talk, because I don't like talking. I don't know what's going on in your head if you're not talking. So what do you get out of design principle number 1? The reason I talk about these principles is once we go into the actual resumes, I will be referring to these design principles because it is not addressed in your specific resumes. So David and Anaina, what are you guys getting out of number 1? Did we get dropped?
What? Can you repeat what you said? Sorry, I
Number
think you cut out
1,
for
what I
me.
want you to get out of number 1. Anaina?
Yeah. So whenever I apply, like I do edit my resume and I do think it
No,
from
I
there.
want you to use my words, okay? Let's get into the words
Okay.
so that we can go much, much faster. It's right there in front of you. What I want you guys to get out of number 1.
Um,
All right, I'm going to speed up time. You got to think like the hiring manager. And the way to think like the hiring manager is to focus on the job description. Why is that important? Anybody?
So it's like the resume is more pertain to like the actual job, so it's more
Exactly.
like enticing.
It's not just enticing. I mean, they told you what they wanted, so address what they want. Because if you're not, do you think they'll even look at your resume?
No.
Exactly. Okay. And then towards the end part of number 1, it says you got to think like them with their job description, and then you have to focus on what? The words are right there. Ensure that the resume highlights what? Valentina,
Uh,
this number 1 is speaking to you actually. You need to highlight what?
Results and
And
accomplishments.
accomplishments, and not job descriptions. So when we go into David's or Anaina's resume, you will see that majority folks usually have the quote unquote problem, without really knowing any better, is they usually talk about descriptions versus results. Any questions about number 1? Number 2, okay? Because of the ease of sending out resumes, from the words of my colleague Nick McCary, he's saying as a hiring manager, the number of resumes is just overwhelming. So whenever you send out resumes, you as a writer for your resume have to consider that fact in order to be effective. Hiring managers have very little time, and your job is to tell them what they're looking for in the quickest way possible. And the way that you see it in number 2, it says easy, fast access to relevant information. David, stand by. Okay, when I say easy, fast access to relevant information, what's the difference between relevant information and complete information? Anybody?
Like just the information just relevant to the job.
Correct.
We should not add any extra information in the resume.
Yes. So Srinivas, was it you who was talking about you had all these years of experience, or was that Rohit?
Yeah, I was talking.
You were the one who was talking about 4 years of experience, okay? So
Yeah.
I like them. I'm talking to a mixed group of folks on the call, because for people with lots of experience, what people tend to do is to be complete versus relevant. Does everybody see the distinction between complete versus relevant? Are there any questions about that? Otherwise, I'm gonna go, David, please share your resume, and then we're gonna go to Anaina, and we're going to be looking about number 1 and number 2 if folks addressed it as we're going into the actual resumes that you guys wanted Career Services to check out for you.
Do I share my screen?
Please.
Okay. Um, how do I do that?
Bottom, there's a green. If you
Oh,
scroll
I
to
see,
the
I see,
bottom, it
yeah.
says share
I added
screen.
half
Anaina,
screen.
you're next. Yash, you're next.
It says sharing's not turned on right now, so.
Oh, yes, thank you. Now it is. Thank
All
you.
right. All right. Is
So
it
I want,
sharing?
yes, make it bigger so everybody can see it. Click the plus sign. Everybody, I want first impressions on design principle number 1 and number 2. Anybody comment, please? So I'm gonna ask
I
the
think
question
the
because
work
not everybody.
experience and projects should be higher up than leadership and on like honors, I guess.
Say that again, please. You're still muffled, Rohit.
The work experience and projects should be much higher up than I think like
Why is that?
leadership and honors.
Why is that?
Because that would be more relevant to the job description, I feel.
David, did you catch that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So take a look at David's resume. He starts with leadership. The eyes of somebody who looks at David's resume immediately goes to the top and he's talking about leadership. Question, David, does the job description or the job descriptions you've been looking at look for leadership?
Um, m- Probably not. I mean,
Yes,
for most
gotcha.
of the internships, probably not.
Gotcha. So did everybody catch that? David created this resume without regard to the reader of the resume. He just put in a bunch of information according to him without regard to number 1, the job description, and then number 2, talk about tasks and results relative to the job description, right? So let's just say, let's go to work experience. Machine operator, is that related to the job that you're looking for, David? I'm assuming no,
Uh,
because it's landscaping.
definitely, definitely not.
Okay, so none of this apply. All right. We have something for you, David, but let me shift to Anaina for a second, and then we'll discuss this specific one so that I put everybody on the same sheet. Thank you, David. Anaina, could you share your resume? Yash, stand by, please.
Sure. Just a sec.
David, the reason I didn't want to talk about yours because it wasn't directly related to like the tech classes or whatever. I assume you went through, what was our tool again?
VMOC?
Yes, you went through VMOC for that and gave you a high score?
Yeah, I had an
Yeah.
84,
Yeah,
83,
the
whatever.
score is high, but if I were a reader, you're not very efficient. So that's where the human intelligence comes into play. Anaina, could you please make it bigger for everybody?
Sure.
So
Oh,
Anaina started with a summary. She had the right idea in that she was going to capture their attention with the summary. All right. Scroll down slowly and I want to hear reactions from everybody, please. First reactions. Because you guys are more knowledgeable now since we talk about design principle numbers 1 and 2. So any comments relative to those? She's very good at results and accomplishments. Beautiful work. David, are you seeing something that you could possibly apply for your resume? Are you seeing how she's got results all over the place?
Yeah, I do see that.
Yeah, so we want to do the same thing for you. I realize that they're not necessarily, you don't have that much experience, but for your case, David, I'm going to show you the resume of a freshman fairly shortly, just graduated from high school. And then we can see how that can apply to your resume. I kind of asked for feedback, but I started giving feedback because I was impressed by what I saw, Anaina. So anybody else have feedback? Aside from Bernie kind of gushing about the results and accomplishments that he saw all over the place. Rohit and Srinivas, comments?
I mean, I would really appreciate it.
No, don't worry.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you more.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just
it
want people to
looks.
apply what they learned, so go ahead.
Yeah. It means it looks good. Like the summary is there. The relevant sections are about summary, skills and the education. Those are the things first they want to look at.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because they have less time, so first they would review the skills and summary what the candidate has, and then extra information like the work experience, project, and everything.
Yes, thank you. Any other
Yeah. Thank you,
comments?
Srinivas.
Other comments? Srinivas liked the summary, I don't. I
Mhm.
like the idea that you use the summary, and I will talk about it in a second. Other feedback before I
Yeah.
give some feedback? Rohit, did we lose Rohit?
No, not much feedback because I think my resume shaped the same way as well.
Okay, no comments?
Mhm.
Yash, comments? Is Yash still with us? I can't see who's all on the call.
Yes, sir. The only comment I have about the summary is it's generally what an AI somebody pursuing in the AI field will talk about.
We'll
But
talk about, okay?
yeah, but if she would have highlighted some of the results and accomplishments from the projects that she had done in the summary, that would have helped.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So Yash, just FYI, Anina was in my resume efficiency, so he's catching, he's applying what he learned.
Yeah.
And he's talking about your summary, is writing a summary. He kind of said what an AI professional would write down. However, you're claiming things like you're passionate. You're claiming that you know all this information, and then you say you're driven. If you're giving this to a stranger, what's your proof that you are passionate and driven?
Yeah,
proof.
I see that. Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
So let me share my screen for a second.
Sure.
And
Can I
show
stop
you
sharing?
the following. Back to the
Please.
index. So David, this is what I wanted you to check out as well, together with the comment that I'm giving Anina. So case study 5, better. Yash, I forgot. Were you in the resume efficiency or were you in the strategy session?
I was in the strategy session.
Ah, okay. So my buzz, but that was a good comment then that you gave for the summary. I forgot. Case study 5 better. So everybody, what do you think of this summary compared to Anina's? What are we doing?
Quantifying things.
The
Yes.
summary is more data driven.
It's more data driven and it focused on what the student knows they were looking for in the job description. So because of the students studying the job description, they are now curating the information that are their results relative to the job description. And now, which one is more attractive, Benjamin's or Anina's?
Benjamin.
What did you learn, Anina?
So basically, ad would have done like a little bit of what I've accomplished to the summary. Uh, and it like basically what I've delivered. Because what my summary has, it is very general things. So if I have to back that up, I would have to add a little bit more info about how, yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you how to do that in a second. But to the point that we made in design principle number 2, they're very busy. So when you give them fluff, what I like to call fluff, or useless information to the very busy hiring manager, then you kind of like wasted their time, right? So the whole idea of what you're seeing on the screen is a summary is an opportunity to be relevant immediately. You guys catch that? It gives you the opportunity to be relevant immediately. Does everybody need a summary? No. But it applies based on what it is that you have to offer. Okay. So Anina, let me show you how to curate your specific information. Share your resume again, please. And I will ask you a question to make your resume relevant. Valentina, any questions so far?
No, I'm good listening, learning.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
you see how Anaina had all those results and accomplishments. So your question earlier was about how to be more impactful. I'm buying time for you, by the way, Anaina. I'm waiting for your resume. So I'm talking to Valentina as we're waiting for you.
Yeah, okay.
Valentina, I think you were talking about impact earlier. Anaina did a beautiful job of talking about her results relative to the bullets. Did you notice that?
Yes,
Valentina?
yes.
So the usual question is, how do I do that? We'll answer that in a second for you, Valentina, okay?
Okay.
So Anaina, so this is
Yeah.
how you create a more powerful summary. And this is the same exact process that I worked on with Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, if you guys listen to any of the workshops that I showed you in #resume, most of those recordings are doing the same exact thing that I'm doing with you right now. So you can refer to them to find out how to make your resume relevant immediately. So Anaina, tell me the job title for the job descriptions you've been looking at.
Okay, so I've been looking at data science roles, machine
Okay, pick
learning
a job
roles.
title. Pick one job title.
Okay, I'd go with data science.
Data scientist, intern?
Yeah, intern. Yep.
So data science intern, data scientist intern. So Anaina, according to the data scientist intern job description,
Mm-hmm.
based on everything that you have on your resume, scroll down, please.
Sure.
I see that you have 1, 2 experiences for work, and then projects, you have 3. Scroll down, please.
There's two.
4, that's it. What's at the end of your
Yeah,
resume? Was that it?
that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so you have 4 experiences. So according to a data science intern job description, which of these 4 experiences is most impressive? Either the way that you have it written down or the way that you know it. Because the best judge for that question is you guys. You're reading the job description. You know what your results are. So you're the best judge as to what's the most powerful. Which one is most powerful that you want them to see first, Anaina?
I want them to see my data science internship at Genpact first because this is like a
Genpact. Okay, so
yeah.
Genpact is your, I'm going to call it segment 1 or the top priority that you want them to see. Segment 1 is Genpact. What's segment 2?
I mean, I also had this internship, but it's just like a month
Answer the
long.
question, please.
So yeah, it's this one. It's my first project, which is acne
Okay,
detection and
so
severity
her
grading.
segment 1 is Genpact. Segment 2 is Acme. Number 1, I apologize for a second. I guess being an engineer, I'm all about efficiency as well. And I know I have 6 people on this call, so I'm trying to get to the gist of it with the least amount of time. But if you have any curiosity or I went too fast or whatever, please, please, please stop me, okay? Because this is
Yeah.
about you, not about me getting this to you guys fast. So Anaina segment 1,
I ha
hang on. Anaina segment 1 is Genpact. Her segment 2 is Acme. So go ahead, Srinivas.
yeah, so now as you were saying, like which job experience is relevant to the
No, I
job
said
posting?
most impressive. Did you see how I worded it? I didn't just say relevant because all of this is obviously relevant. Did you notice how I made it impactful? Do you see the
Yeah,
difference?
so are you suggesting like we need to mention, suppose if now she has 2 work experiences?
She has 4. She calls 2 work experience. She has 2 project experiences. And according to her, her segment 1 is Genpact. Her segment 2 is one of the projects with Acme. I'm waiting, Srinivas. Okay, Srinivas disappeared. What's your segment 3?
It has to be this project. This
So it's
one,
the
prediction
prediction
of
of antibiotic. Okay. Did you
yeah.
guys see how Anaina was quote unquote all over the place as far as relevance? Okay. And by the way, I'm gonna make a quick I'll talk about it later so that I'm not mixing concepts. So top priority segment 1 is Genpact. The next most important is Acne. The third most important is Global Shala, was it? Or is it the last one?
It is the last one. I was a bit
Okay.
confused, but for data science, I think it should be the last one.
Okay, so your segment 3 is prediction and your segment 4
Mhm.
is Global Shala.
Yep.
So when I asked Benjamin the same question, he kind of identified what his most important experiences were relative to the job description. So once we fix the bullets, of which you did a beautiful job, we'll get into it deeper shortly. But what Benjamin did was he grabbed the most powerful bullets and curated what was most relevant. He grabbed those bullets, put it in the summary, massaged it a little bit, and that's what you guys saw. That was the summary for Benjamin.
Hmm.
Questions?
Okay, the first question that I have is like, I can't repeat what I already have here in the summary, right? So how do I curate that summary?
Well, think about the busy hiring manager. Do they really need to see the same thing again?
I don't think so.
Exactly. So once you
Hmm.
made the point already once, you can give additional information if you need to, but I'm gonna say, if you already caught their attention with the biggest piece that they needed to know, why even talk about it some more?
Yeah.
Did that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys seeing how the design principles are being superimposed on top of the resume work that you guys did? Srinivas said an unfinished thought. I still want to hear what he was trying to say. Did he kind of disappear? Oh, I think he probably lost internet or something. Anaina, you clear?
Yeah, I'm clear.
All right. So Valentina, I'm gonna go into bullets now to check whether she has the impacts. Just by seeing the figures, it looks like it's good, but let's drill down into it now. Okay. So remember how we said in design principle number 2 that you want to give them the most important bullets first. Okay, so the same thing. I see that you have 3 bullets for Genpact. Are they arranged from top priority to least priority?
Yes, Bernie, they are.
Okay, very good. So Anaina's doing a pretty good job, okay, as far as, establishing her bullets and then arranging it from most impactful to least. So I'm going to drill down into it to the point that you were curious about, Valentina. I'm going to the first bullet. It says spearheaded sales and demand prediction efforts and establish an end-to-end pipeline to precise forecasting, reducing manual intervention by 30% and enhancing scalability to process 500 data sets. What are you guys noticing? And I noticed it when I had to read it. What are you guys noticing? Nothing? Did I lose everybody?
Here. So what I wanted to do was make it action oriented. So along
It's
with that, I
action
also wanted to.
oriented, but I'm trying to flag something else. You're giving me an explanation for why you worded it, but when I read it, something occurred to me. Do you know what that was?
Maybe it's data driven.
Data driven, you already got that point, but something else came up when I
Mm,
read it. Go ahead, Srinivas.
Yeah, I'm not. I lost power, so can I
Okay.
ask my question or should I?
No, because I'm in the middle of a question right now. So we will pull you in when we need you to come back in. So we're
Okay.
talking about the first bullet of Anaina right now. I'm going to read it again and notice how I go through it. Spearheaded sales and demand prediction efforts and establish an end-to-end pipeline for precise forecasting, reducing manual intervention by 30% and enhancing scalability to process 500 plus data sets. Anaina, you're right in that it talks about impact. However, something's going on with that bullet that I'm trying to make to you guys. Any comments? You guys don't know it? It's a mouthful. It's too much. Okay? So
Hmm.
here's rule of thumb whenever you write, because again, this is being read by the busy hiring manager. So what was her accomplishment here? She reduced intervention by 30% and she scaled and processed 500 plus data sets is really the result, right? So how to be impactful. You did the impact beautifully, but it's too wordy for the busy hiring manager. So rule of thumb, you need to talk about your results, which I called out. Reduced intervention by 30% and processed 500 plus data sets. That's the result. You give just enough data to frame the result. Anything else is extra, save it for the interview. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So what I'm teaching you guys is how to be, I'm introducing the concept of character ninja, to the point that we said very earlier that these hiring managers are very busy, right? So the least you give them to read, but the quicker you get them what you're looking for. In your case, Anaina, you wanted them to know that you reduced intervention and then you scaled it to 500 sets. After you give them that thought, everything else is really extra information. So what can I get rid of in that first bullet? And if I were you, I would start the bullet by talking about the result first. I would say reduced intervention by 30% and enhanced scalability and process 500 plus data sets. Do you see how there's a lot of extra words there? That's really just talking about, this is what you were trying to say really, but this is how you said it. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So this is part of what we talk about in design principle number 2. You need to get them what they're looking for. Because even as I'm thinking through this, I just read it and I'm not even the hiring manager. But think about it, if you were very busy and you just had to go through 500 or 1,000 resumes. And this is what they're seeing over and over. So you actually see how it's very easy to stand out, because once you're to the point and you're telling them what they're looking for, you're kind of like their friend. They're liking you more and more. Questions? Srinivas, if your question was related to that, feel free to jump in.
No, it was earlier question like
Okay,
how we
I'll get
should
to you
keep
after.
the.
Let me complete this thought. So did you get that point, Anaina?
I did. I did.
So anybody else, Valentina and David? We didn't talk about your bullets earlier, but I'm going to jump to your resume really quickly, David, to see if you applied something to your resume along the same lines. Any reactions from anybody about the point that I just made? So I repeat what I said. Whenever you have bullets, you really want to talk about the results. Just give them enough data to frame the results so they get it. Anything else, save it for the interview. David, make it larger, please. So let's see your community, volunteer. Which one do you think is most related to a job you're looking for, David? Is it the leadership, or I think you had further down? You had machine operator. Yeah, okay, let's just go with leadership.
Okay.
So let's take a look at your first bullet. You said spent 4 hours per week. That's good. 4 hours per week. I would just change the words that you're saying it from opening to closing to ensure a smooth process. Okay, the 4 hours was good, and then the rest of it you were just describing. Accommodated 50 plus people, including children and those dietary restrictions. Do you see how David is giving all sorts of details? I mean, I get it that this isn't necessarily for the internship that David's looking for, but you're noticing even in David's second bullet that he's giving all sorts of information that the reader may or may not need. If it was in the job description, fine. But did you notice how David was being complete? You guys catching that? David?
So
Go ahead.
so in our bullet points, we should have the results first and then what
It's a
we want to
suggestion.
talk about.
It's a suggestion because if you notice Anaina's bullets earlier, she kind of like had a bunch of words, a bunch of words, a bunch of words. It was quite long, and then her results were at the end. so that you catch the busy hiring manager's attention, I would recommend you talk about the results first, because again, you got to consider that the people reading your resumes are also human beings. So let's say it's a Friday afternoon at 4:30 and I just went through 1,000 resumes. And then guess which resume 1001 is? It's a Nina's resume. And I had to read the words that she wrote. Do you think that's very enticing or very inviting for me to read? No. You would really want to start with your results first and then give the details. So are you guys seeing the psychology behind the suggestions you're being given? Srinivas, did that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, Anaina, reactions?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Might be
Cool.
the reason why I'm not getting like acceptance.
I don't
know.
think that's the reason, Anaina. There's something else. Your bullets are pretty good, but are you noticing that because of the suggestions you're being made? I'm very hopeful actually that you'll get lots of calls very quickly, because number one, you're being relevant from the standpoint of impact. And then number two, you're knowing what needs to be changed, right? It's too wordy, so to
Mhm.
speak. So I just introduced the concept of character ninja, less characters, more white space, more inviting. David, what are you
Yeah.
getting out of all of this? David.
Yeah, my bad. Well, I mean, basically what I'm getting at is that I had to kind of like tailor my resume towards the actual job I'm trying to apply for, as well as like put my results first rather than kind of putting fluff in
Yes,
between.
very good. Srinivas,
Yeah.
thank you, Valentina. We'll send you the recording. I'm actually, for some of you guys who have to go to class, feel free to drop off like Valentina, but I plan on staying here. I don't have an appointment directly after this, so I'll go until 11:30 for any of you guys that stay, and I'll keep the recording going. Srinivas, reactions? Questions?
Yeah, I have bullet points in similar way, so I think I should be editing those as well.
Okay,
It makes sense that we need to have the details first, like the quantifiable points first, and then the fluff about it.
yes. So I guess this would be a good segue to your point, Srinivas. David, thank you for sharing. Unless you had any other questions, I'll give Srinivas the floor.
Yep, no questions.
Okay, actually, before I let David go, Srinivas, let me share this for David so he knows what to do. So David, oh Yash, I thought you left. I didn't see you in the earlier screen. I was going to talk to you about your resume, so be on standby. So David, I shared this earlier, right? Benjamin is a high school graduate, actually. So if you take a look at case study 5, old. So this is kind of like your resume, David. So your current version, I kind of showed you the better version, but your current version looks like this. So it looks similar, David? You kind of started with leadership, and then you had your education, and then you had your skills. And then take a look at volunteer work. He's talking about community fellowship, youth group, and then there was a project interviewer scores. The difference between David was he had some sorts of projects that were related to computer science. So if you kind of study what his previous version was to the current version, I think you can change. VMOT kind of blessed your resume saying it's good as far as the parts, but I'm flagging it now, David, that it's not very, very relevant to the technical jobs that you're looking for. Does it make sense?
Yeah, so you're saying that like I do have a little bit like I have one project that I've done, so should I put that towards the top or more like that project should be towards the top only if like it pertains to the internship that I want. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
it's always relevant to the job description. The
Okay.
design principle number 1 and number 2 usually answers most of the questions that you have about the resume. So in your case, David, you would say, what did the job description ask for? And it's very obvious that it's going to look for the project that you just described.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a
Okay.
process, obviously. David, I realize you're kind of like much earlier in the process, if you will. So work with me, and that's why I tell everybody to connect with me on LinkedIn. So as we go through the next iteration, try to capture some of that. And then I have these resume workshops regularly, so you can jump on the next one, and then we get to talk about the next step, the next step, the next step. Are you guys seeing how it's not like just a one-shot deal that you came to talk to a coach and then I kind of tell you what to do and then it's done? It's never done. Plus, if you guys notice, I go much deeper into concepts of the resume, right? Srinivas,
Yeah.
give me an idea of what your question was.
Yeah, so earlier we were talking like we should have the relevant information above so that the recruiter can grasp it. Like it's he can tell that it's relevant to the job and everything. So regarding that, I was telling like now if we have let's talk about work experience. Now if we have two work experiences out of which one is much more relevant, so do we shift that upwards,
No.
irrelevant of the timeline? Like,
No. That's why the summary is a great solution to that, because to your point, you can't just shift stuff around because according to a resume, it's chronological. You put the latest job or experience first, right? So what, if I heard your question right, you're saying, do I move that up just because it's more relevant? And the answer is no, because it's chronological in arrangement. However, Anaina introduced the concept of summary. Summary is something that you could put at the top of the resume wherein you could curate what you're talking about. You know that one is more relevant than the first. So you talk about that first in the summary. You see what I'm talking about, Srinivas? You have the ability to arrange it however you know is best relevant to the job description. So you do not change anything in the chronological arrangement when you list it down under experience, but you can curate it according to priority in the summary.
okay, yeah,
Make sense?
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll go to
summarizing
yours
detail.
shortly. Yash, let's see your resume because I didn't mention I wanted to see yours, and then we'll go to Srinivas. Rohit, is this helping? Yash, we're waiting for you. Rohit,
So,
is this making sense?
Professor,
Yeah,
after
I did that.
after the insights that you gave to Anaya and David, after I reviewed my current resume, it has some problems in the
Well,
summary. So I'll still share that, but I'm
yes.
just telling that.
Well, that's the whole point of this. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why we're all here to learn. It's not like I'm gonna give you a hard time because it's wrong. But thank you for acknowledging that, Yash.
Yes. Uh, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So
So Yash, I would recommend you use the format. Can you jump into the LinkedIn group really quickly also? We'll jump back to this.
um,
Do you have the index open? Just go back and
mm,
forth.
no, Professor, I am actually
Are
on my
you
iPad.
on your mobile?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me just share really quickly, okay? And then I'll come back to you. What I was trying to have you do when I saw that is under the index, and this is for anybody else that could use a different format. If you guys notice, Yash's format was not ATS friendly because of the boxes, the columns. I don't think he had columns, but the boxes caught my eye. So you see this part under hashtag resume where it talks about Illinois Tech resources. You may want to do this, Yash.
Yes, Professor.
All right, so once you go here, you go to career resources. And then career resources, if you notice, it's got resume guide, cover letter guide, and then it's got resume templates. I suggest you use this template for you so that it's much cleaner because what you're using is not ATS friendly.
Yes, sir.
Okay, your turn. Share again, please. Let's get into the stuff that you have. And then I want first impressions from David, Anaina, Srinivas, and Rohit. So by the way, you guys don't need to put street address. All you need is Chicago, Illinois, 60616 is good. And don't forget to put in your LinkedIn. Summary, he already called his attention to us, saying that it was similar to Anina's. Do you now know what you need to do for your summary?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
Professor.
All right, very good. So education, we got that. Scroll down, 3.3 skills. Keep going, please. So project 1, 2, how many work experiences do you have? 3, 4?
Professor, actually, my internships are the Sam Enviro one and the Gabriel one, but in both of them, I've done projects. And
Okay.
the second two projects, the design of a solar tree and HVAC systems, were the projects that I did in my BTech, in my
Okay.
bachelor's.
I want you to
Uh,
ask me questions for your resume based on the discussions that we had on David and Anina so far. Questions for you. Do you have what you need to clean this up? Because I already, oh, I want to give you a compliment. It looks like you're talking about results and accomplishments because I see all sorts of figures. Okay, I obviously haven't gotten into drilling the bullets, but just looking at overall, it looks like you have the concept of results versus describing tasks. So good job, man. Nice work, Yash.
Thank you,
So,
Professor.
yeah, the next part is, do you have any specific questions
E-
about
pro-
how to implement based on previous discussions?
the questions I had was, should I mention the this design of prototyping of a solar tree, because it was it was a simple project and it doesn't resonate to my job role of a project engineer or a process engineer. It was just a innovative product development project that I did, and it also doesn't have a lot of
So,
data in it. The only
well,
data is the amount of power that it generated and the
if I were the
footprint.
hiring manager and I'm not looking for this, you're giving me a lot to read, right?
Okay.
You told me that it's not relevant. And
Yeah,
you told
because
me
it's
that you
more in
want,
product development rather than
yeah.
in process engineering.
So don't waste their time reading, man. It's not related. This is how you guys don't get called in for an interview. Let's just say it's 4:30 and my eyes went to this first, right? Even though
Yeah.
everything else is relevant, but my eyes happen to land on this part first. Guess what I'm going to conclude? Because I want to go home. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. I'd be like, not relevant, garbage. You guys
Yeah.
seeing the criticality of really giving them what they're looking for. And that has to apply to the entire resume. And that's why I made the distinction earlier of relevant versus complete. Yash is being complete. Make sense?
Yeah.
More
And
questions?
Professor, about the technical certifications, should I mention all the certifications that I've done, or the certification should be also the relevant one?
Design principle number 1. What's the answer?
Relevant.
Very good. Did you
Okay.
guys hear what I said earlier? Any question about your resume is usually answered by design principle number 1 and number 2. So did you see how you said you only wanted the relevant, right? Because otherwise you're wasting the reading time again, right? And what happens if their eyes again got drawn to the non-relevant stuff? Then you just ran the risk of going to the garbage can again.
Okay,
Makes-
Professor.
Make
And should I
sense?
mention this volunteer activities? I talked to you about that in the LinkedIn chat.
I
I
don't
have
know.
mentioned it.
Yeah, I don't know how the entire resume looks like at this point, but again, it's always good to give a holistic view of the student, volunteer activities included. So in a perfect world, without seeing your final version, sure, you'd want part of the volunteer activities to give them a more holistic view of Yash. Okay, so I guess it kind of goes back to the discussion with Anina. What did you accomplish? And talk to me in the least amount of characters about your volunteer activities.
Great. Okay. Yeah.
Are you guys seeing how, I don't know if you've noticed it, but you guys are all asking the same question, but different because you have different resumes, but it's really the same question. Right? And if you
Yes.
guys notice, I keep on going back to design principle 1 and 2, because regardless of who asks it and whose resume we're looking at, it looks like it's still design principle number 1 and number 2. Okay, that's why I like doing these group sessions as well, because you get to observe me talking about somebody else with the same problem, and I'm hoping that it becomes more obvious to you, because now you're more objective. Was that cool, Yash?
Yes, Professor. That
More
was all.
questions?
No, Professor.
Helping? All right, man. Srinivas, the man with lots of experience. Rohit, be on standby if you want to share after Srinivas. I guess you are the experienced guys. And then I will touch a little bit on business relations. We're top of the hour right now, but I'm willing to go until you guys stick around and continue the discussion for whoever sticks around. Srinivas, you gonna share?
Sure.
Rohit, you're next. Questions from the rest of everybody else while we're waiting for Srinivas.
Okay, so I have a question for Yash's resume.
Okay,
So it is 3 pages long. So usually I've heard that a resume should be for 1 page. So can I do that?
no. I didn't talk about that because I know he was gonna cut it down, but it is not a function of the number of pages. It's still a function of relevance. So in an ideal world, if you had 3 pages of totally relevant information, by all means, give them a 3-page resume. However, you still have to deal with the fact that they're very busy. Did you notice how I didn't even talk about it for Yash? Because I expect him to be character ninja when he applies it. So I noticed that you wanted 3 pages. Was there a specific reason you asked that, Anaina?
Yeah, I was thinking that I may have some certifications and volunteer
Are
experiences
they
that are
looking for
relevant.
that?
Yeah,
Again,
they
are
are
you being
relevant, but I don't have,
complete?
yeah, but I don't have enough space to add it in 1 page. So I was thinking like maybe to make it 2 page, but I've heard a lot that you should make a resume to just 1 page.
Well, if you're a very busy hiring manager, which would you rather have, 1 or 2 pages?
I don't know. I would pick a resume that has 1 page.
Okay, so we didn't talk about it, but design principle number 4 says that it's your job search. Any advice, including my advice, it's your call whether you follow it or not, because you're the job seeker. So I guess that's kind of an answer to your question. We're kind of like talking about it in general, but you decide. If you want 3 pages, despite our discussion, have 3 pages.
Okay, yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
Srinivas? Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Let me get general comments from, let's start with Alina. And David, comments about Srinivas's resume? No, Anaina, I want you to go through the exercise I went through with you for relevance. Apply it to Srinivas. Do you understand the instructions?
Yeah, I did. So, I
Okay,
mean,
good.
Srinivas has done a great job with his resume from what I've seen. Like, it's not too wordy. The bullet points are short and precise, and the numbers are there first instead of mine being too wordy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's easy to read.
How do we ensure relevance? I walked you through that exercise. I want you to walk Srinivas through that same exercise. Remember when we went through Benjamin's resume? And then we talked about how to make your resume relevant? Do you remember
Mhm.
that? Can you do
Yeah.
that exercise with Srinivas?
So basically asking him which work experience is the
He's
most
right there.
relevant.
He's right there. Ask him.
Yeah, so Srinivas, which work ex is the most relevant to you?
The way that I worded it, according to the job descriptions that
Mhm.
you've been reading, Srinivas, what job title, by the way?
Yeah, I'm looking in like cloud engineer,
Okay, so for
cloud
cloud engineer
roles.
job, I just only want one job description. Why am I very specific about asking which job title you're looking for? Anybody have
Because
an
the
answer?
resume should be uh, most relevant to the job.
Should be
Job.
very targeted.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your answer to Anaina? What was the job title? Srinivas, what job title are you looking at?
Yeah, the cloud engineer roles
Cloud engineer, okay,
s-
so
or
take it from there, Anina. He's looking for
Yeah.
cloud engineer.
So I mean, if you're looking for that role, shouldn't that be at the top?
Well, no, you gotta ask him the
No?
question. No, you ask him the
Uh,
question. So Srinivas, according to the job description for cloud engineer, let's see how many experiences he has. He has graduate teaching assistant, he has systems engineer, he has cloud engineer, anything else? He got 3 experiences, right?
yeah, means
Of those 3, which one should they see first for cloud engineer?
this one. And as I mentioned, like
Okay,
the
so hang on. Which one is the second most important?
yeah, this one.
And which one is the third most important?
I'm not sure if teaching assistant I should be
Okay,
putting
it
it or
doesn't
not.
even apply, right? So I'm
Yeah.
glad you have this out here. So it's good to put in graduate teaching assistant. Chicago, Illinois should really be by Illinois Institute of Technology, comma, Chicago, Illinois. And then the right side, people should just see the dates.
Okay.
Okay, so the bullets, you said that it's not relevant. Do not waste their time reading the 3 bullets that you wrote. Just keep it graduate teaching assistant, Illinois Institute of Technology, next systems engineer. Did you guys
Okay.
catch that? Questions about what I just went through? It was quite major, but it was kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, so I should be still keeping the job title, but no bullet points
Not the
for that.
bullets, because it's not relative. It's not relevant. And
Yeah.
for the very busy hiring manager, you don't want to read them. You don't want them to read that because it's not relevant, right? Remember the example that I gave Yash earlier? What happens if it was 4:30 in the afternoon and I ate my ice, look this, and I said not relevant, and I was like garbage. Then you wasted your opportunity for me to read systems engineer,
Yeah.
right? I'm being dramatic about the way I explain it, but I think you guys have the concept, correct? Is that a yes?
Yeah, I get it. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Questions? So his
So,
first relevant is systems engineer, right? For Tata?
Yeah, means cloud.
Oh, cloud engineer is the most impressive.
Yeah.
Okay. So would Srinivas benefit from a summary?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I guess his explanation of his work experience, I think there are too many bullet points. So if a summary is there, it could be easier for the recruiter to understand what experience he has and like what tech stack he uses.
Very good. Thank you, Rohit. Did you catch that, Srinivas?
Yeah, I get that, like reducing these points and having the summary be
Right.
effective for tailoring the resume.
So you have multiple bullets. Are they arranged from top priority to least priority?
Yes, means
Okay. So let's go to your first bullet for your cloud engineer. Migrated and deployed a client's insurance website. This sounds like a NINUS bullet, right? Migrated and deployed a client's insurance website from on-premises service to AWS cloud, achieving a 99% increase in uptime, enabling scalability to handle 3 times the traffic and 40% reduction in operational costs. What's the problem with
Yeah.
that first bullet? Same thing I told Anina, right?
yes.
Okay, so I would start with the results, give them just enough data so that they get the result. And your result was you achieved 99% uptime increase, scaled to 3 times traffic, 40% reduction cost. You see how I kind of like got rid of even your extra words in what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So just this should be mentioned.
No, you're the best judge of this. Bernie Floresca can't even judge, but what's coming to Bernie Floresca is it's very wordy, okay? You guys can tell whether for the busy hiring manager, and that's why I take the time to teach you guys the design principles, because I'm not the judge. You're the guys reading the job description. You're the guys who know your results. You're really the best person to say whether you're telling them your result with the least amount of details so that they get it, not Bernie Floresca. You guys do. Questions? Srinivas,
Yeah.
what did you hear me
So
say?
yeah, I get it. Like uh, they have much less time, so the detailed info, like the quantifiable achievements, should be in first rather than reading a whole line and then going to the
Correct,
achievement.
because some of that, like even the word insurance, are you really looking for insurance for a cloud engineer? No, that's extra information. So
Yeah,
you see
that
why I call it character ninja, right? Every little bit counts with white space.
yes,
Makes sense?
yes, it makes sense.
Anaina, that was kind of like the same issue that you had. Is it becoming clearer for you?
It does. It does. Yeah.
Okay. Any other reactions from the team? Because I want to share some more resources for Srinivas and the rest of you before we jump into the rest of his resume. Any other comments from what we just said? No other comments? Let me share this really quick for you,
Yeah.
Srinivas. Back to the index. There is this section, and that's why I keep on talking about the top priority bullet or experience that you want them to see. It's actually in this resume follow-up. So remember when we're creating relevance, okay? So it's in between the workshops and the case studies. So in between the workshop and case studies is this resume follow-up. So just like we're talking about segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, actually in Srinivas's case, he only has 2 segments because the third one isn't related, right? So you only have segment 1 and segment 2. If you go to the index, it gives you an understanding of the work that I do with the other students. So they do this by LinkedIn, okay? So the student at 1146 kind of gives me their wordy bullet like this, like the one that we just looked at. And then at 1159, if you notice, Bernie's asking questions. I'm probing. How many? How long? What are the quantifiable details? So I think for the most part, everybody was kind of like quantifying their details. The student goes, should I respond? And then I was like, yeah, please do, so that I can help you optimize. At 1212, the student gives me a complete, kind of like your bullet. We haven't gotten deeper into it, Srinivas, but I think you were already at this point wherein you had the complete thing. It was just wordy. And then I was able to just frame the result in the least amount of characters. So if you want to see some of this work, you kind of go to subsequent segments. If you don't want to use Bernie, you could actually use artificial intelligence to do that, okay? So again, all the resources are here in the index for you. If you notice, under case study, there is this section that talks about describing versus accomplishments and results all the way to career log. Is David still with us?
Yeah.
Okay, David, I think you may need some of this area for the resume that you had. I don't know, you may or may not need it, but when somebody has difficulty talking about the accomplishments versus describing, this whole section out here is going to help you with that. But the reason I brought your attention here is using GPT, okay? Impact using GPT-2. I'm not gonna go through this, but to the point that I was making with Srinivas, aside from using me to give you comments on LinkedIn or amongst yourselves, because you all saw the same training together, you can use GPT. I'm not going to go open this video right now, but the 3 prompts in this video are as follows. The student's background was legal. He was applying for an on-campus job, but his bullets were all legal, legal, legal. So prompt number 1 said, here's the bullets, here's the job description, make it relevant, was the prompt, the first prompt for GPT. The second prompt was, okay, great job, GPT, but now use 80% of the original language in the job description. Okay, that was prompt number 2. And then prompt number 3 is maybe for David also. The third prompt was saying, hey, GPT, why don't you ask me 2 questions per bullet so that you can give it more impact? Srinivas, that wasn't your problem. I'm just giving you ideas so that GPT can help you refine it. So if I go through this other bullet, it says in between case study and then this optimized bullet 3. So this is what you could use, Srinivas. A few
Okay.
moments later, if you take a look at this discussion, it's on the second page. So I kind of told the student, chat GPT it, man. And then I said, give GPT the details, like you could give your current bullet, Srinivas, and then you can ask it to give you concise. This is the part that you want GPT for, Srinivas. Concise, impactful. I think you got the impactful and results oriented, but you're kind of hurting with the concise. And then
Okay.
aside from fixing that, you could say, hey, give me 10 revisions of your current version that are concise, impactful, and results oriented. So you see what I'm talking about? You kind of got
Yeah.
to the end of your, it was pretty good because you were already talking impact, but you're not Character Ninja. I'm saying use GPT to Character Ninja. Make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, as you pointed out, like insurance, the client's insurance website, it doesn't really matter. Just client's website is also good.
Cool. Any other questions, Srinivas, on your resume? Or from anybody at this point, based on everything we've talked about so far? We have 15 more minutes if you guys want it.
So can I share my screen again?
Yeah.
For that? Yeah, so as I was saying, like about the job responsibilities. Now, actually, I have merged my job responsibility and the project as well. Like the project that I did at TCS and the project that I did at Plentas. So in the job responsibility.
Hang on. Explain what you just said.
Instead of mentioning, it's like I have merged job responsibilities and the project details in this, like in this title.
Why did you
I
do
haven't
that?
because I was not getting like what to mention as job responsibility, because all
Okay. What's design principle number 1 say? Did I tell you to list your job responsibilities?
no.
So tell me what design principle number 1 is again. What do you need to
Like
talk about? You need to think like the hiring manager, and the way to do that is what?
keeping the relevant
Job
information.
description, right? You need to think like them with the job description. And then you need to talk about your results relative to the job description. Nowhere did I say you need to enumerate your job responsibilities.
Okay.
Are you understanding the difference?
Okay. So this should come under work
Is that a
experience
yes or a no?
yeah. So this should come under work experience or like projects, like because I haven't mentioned any project section here.
This is your experience. I don't know. Are these projects or are these work?
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's like if you see like the now developed an Android module using Java and everything. Here also migrated the client's web insurance website to AWS cloud. So this is the project. And some of them
hang on, what's your heading?
yeah, so I was
No,
asking
what's
like
your heading above graduate teaching? Okay, so you're telling me under work experience, you merged work, and projects. Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
Okay, that's fine. Don't call it work experience, just call it experience.
okay. Because like
So that makes
this
sense now that you had graduate teaching assistant, systems engineer, and cloud engineer, okay?
yeah. Because here, like this, this is kind of maybe leadership point, like
Did they ask for it in the
when
job description?
no,
So what's the difference between relevant and complete?
okay, okay, I get it now.
More questions?
No, that's all.
Other observations? If you guys know that Srinivas was about to ask me the questions, and then I went back to the design principles, right? And he's kind of answering his I can see him answering the questions in his mind. Is this making sense, everybody? No more questions? All right, Srinivas, I guess you can stop sharing. Let's ask anybody else for their final questions. So I want to hear next steps from everybody. Start with David.
So I'm gonna probably go look at my resume, change up like the formatting, meaning like make section 1 not be like my volunteer work, more about my projects. And then afterwards, I could probably just clean up some of the bullet points, making them more specific with data that I have. And then I think
Good.
that's really it
Yeah,
for me
good.
right now,
Good
because
job,
I
man.
need a, yeah,
Yeah,
I
and then
just need,
message me on LinkedIn as you're implementing some of this. And this doesn't just apply to David. I want it for everybody. Okay, I tell everybody to connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have any questions about it, just send it to me on LinkedIn. But just like the very busy hiring manager, if you tell me immediately what you need versus, very wordy, blah, 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 you get your answers much, much quicker. Okay, I didn't plan it on that, but I'm pretty much mimicking the busy hiring manager with you guys trying to catch my attention. It's good practice. Okay, so David, very good job in knowing what your next step is. If you have any questions, you know everything in the resources that I talked about so far, right?
yeah,
Okay, good, man. Any questions? Ask me on LinkedIn.
thank you.
Anina, you're welcome. Anina, what's your next steps?
Okay, so my bullets are too long and wordy. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make them short.
Okay,
And yeah, I'm gonna start with my what is relevant to the job description and not add the extra info that I've added. And yeah, I think that's it.
very
I'm
good.
gonna I'm gonna also edit the summary section.
Yes,
Yep.
based on kind of like the method that I shared with you, right? They actually came from your existing bullets based on the relevance exercise that we did with you in
Mm-hmm.
Srinivas. And then you have a much, much more powerful summary that's totally relevant with the job description.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. So you could put it in LinkedIn. Oh, I forgot to mention to you guys, there is a group that I created that I want to be follow-up for these sessions. If you have any questions, I forgot to mention it. Under Illinois Tech Career Services, actually LinkedIn, you could just go to groups. I want you guys to be part of this group because that's also where we can talk about some of the follow-ups. Under profile, no. CPU is getting killed. Under groups, there is a group called Resume Efficiency. So if you guys want to join that, this is where I have most discussions about follow-up to resume conversations like this. Plus, you can study some of the other questions that the other students going through these coaching sessions also go through, okay? So it's Resume Efficiency, and then join that group. And then I'm actually going to post the recording of this in this Resume Efficiency group. Questions about that? Anything else you wanted to share, Anina? Good job with your next steps. Who
Thank you.
else? You're welcome, Yash. your next steps?
So my initial step would be to use the template of IIT for the resume,
Mhm.
cutting short on the irrelevant information,
Mhm.
and yeah, this would be the initial steps.
Okay, good. And then stay in touch, man. I mean, we already started the conversation from the previous class, so
Yeah, yeah,
I
yes,
expect
Professor.
more. Good job, man.
Yep.
Srinivas and Rohit, you guys are the last two folks that needed the business relations information as well. So I'm glad
Can I
that,
share my resume once as well?
yeah, sure.
And Bernie, I had one more question that I got now.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like before our resume gets to the recruiter, first there is a ATS screening test, right?
Applicant tracking
So
system, yes. That's why I
yeah,
told Yash to use like the simpler version, the simpler the better.
yeah. So in ATS they actually also catch on keywords as well, right? Like for filtering out
I
the
don't like
resume.
talking about keywords because especially for computer science students, they think it's a word game. It's not a word game. It's about your relevance to the job description. But to your point, if I was trying to program a piece of software called an applicant tracking system, yes, I put in words for it to recognize. What was your question?
Yeah, so do we should we keep those points? Like I have one bullet point with all the keywords that match with the job description and everything, but it doesn't
Okay, hang on,
really
hang on.
mean.
That approach is playing the word game now, okay? So listen to what I have to say. If you study the job description and you introspect into your background, your results, and then you tailor it, those keywords organically show up. That is not a word game. Okay, I repeat, if you study the job description and introspect into your results relative to what they're looking for, those words organically show up. I don't want you to just blindly say, oh, they wanted word A, I'm putting in word A. It's not a word game, okay? It's about you matching what they want. Does it make sense?
Okay, but still, like if I customize my bullet point,
I don't think you
it would
understood what I said. Ask me questions.
like even if I mention the results and everything, it would still use the keywords, right? Like
Exactly. That's why I said it's organic. But now I didn't just focus, oh, they're looking for this word. I'm putting that word. Do you see the difference?
mhm.
It's not just about putting in the words they say. You're talking about matching the job description to you. Big difference.
Okay.
More questions? Okay,
Okay, I get it
Rohit's,
now.
yeah, Rohit's very patiently waiting. My 11:30 might show up, so I'll just tell him to wait. So go for it, Rohit.
Yeah, so just from the meeting today, I've understood to change the summary because it's a bit generic as well without any
Do you know how to do
quantifiable
it?
stuff. Yeah, I have to like
Okay.
take the summary from my bullet points and arrange it accordingly
So
based on the fact.
remember how we did the relevance conversation with Srinivas and
Yeah.
Naina? You do it in front of me. Tell me what your most important points are to see if you understood what we discussed.
So I guess my uh, first internship here is important, and then second I would talk about my research paper.
Very
So
good.
these are like two factors which I would like to add in my summary, which I've
What's your
not done yet.
segment? Okay, so I see that you only mentioned two. Are you saying the junior machine learning engineer is not relevant?
It is, but like I would say as a third segment, like it's like if I'm talking according to my priority, it would be first this, the second one would be the research paper, and third would be the junior machine learning engineer.
Okay, good, good, very good.
And yeah, also like my bullet points are not based on impact, or like
Okay,
it's more of like how we like how the project was done, like time order, like how can I tell, like as the first bullet point was done first, the second was done second, third was done third. So it's
Yeah.
more based on time order rather than impact.
Yeah, you're doing great, actually, with the way that you're describing it and what you need to do. So it sounds, I'm looking forward to the changes that you are going to make, actually. What else?
Yeah, and I guess too many words as well. It's like more complete than concise, I guess.
Okay, so you're gonna fix that as well?
Yeah, and if you can see any other stuff, I would happy to know.
Actually, start there. I don't want to give you any information. Plus, we have Ashraf, my next appointment, already joining the call. So any final questions, Rohit and Srinivas?
No, that's
No.
Okay, gentlemen. Feel free to drop off about resume unless you want to listen into the conversation with Ashraf. Actually, Ashraf, I invited to the resume session, but he had classes, but he has another topic. Actually, why don't you tell the group what you want to talk about, and if they're interested, they can stick around.
Okay.
But I will
Uh,
stop the recording for the resume session. Just 1 second,
Okay.
please. Let me just